Welcome, everybody, to this week's WFN Extra Time Podcast. I'm your not-so-humble host, Hooligan Broom, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, my handle is Hooligan Broom. With us this week is Miss Louise K. How are you doing, Louise?
I'm very, very good this week, thank you. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can. My Twitter handle is @MissLouiseK.
Okay. Also with us this week is the infamous Bobby Fu. How you doing, Fu?
I'm doing all right. I'm still relaxing on my second day off, but you can follow me at @septic_Dooner on Twitter if you so choose.
Okay, and also with us this week is our founder and sound engineer, Dre Footy. How are you doing, Dre?
I'm doing very well, Jay, and just to the audience out there, my sole purpose today is to keep this from being Arsenal radio with so many gunners on the line here. I'll do my very best to do something about that. On Twitter, it's Dre @DreFooty if you want to follow me.
Oh boy, we've already started. Interesting.
Yeah,
all right.
That's right. I said it.
Let's get into it. Speaking of which, I'm watching the replay of Man United and Reading
of course you are.
Right now. Oh yeah, don't act like I worship anything. But other than that, this week's action. We had Chelsea at West Ham, Wigan at the Geordies, Scum at Fulham, Sunderland at Norwich, Man United Reading, Villa at QPR, Southampton at Scousers, Stoke Rugby Club at West Brom, Swansea, and we also had Everton at Man City. I don't know, the first game I would really like to discuss is Southampton at the Scousers. I've kind of thought the Scousers have been getting it together lately, and I think we said that last week, that it finally seems like the talent that's on that team is starting to gel and move the ball around and connect and link the ball up and communicate with each other. And then for Southampton to come in and just kind of step on them, I was actually rather surprised, and it may be that effect that, seems like Arsenal has a lot of time of, underestimating who they're playing. I'd like to get a little discussion of that, and since we haven't heard from him in a while, we'll let Fu lead off.
Well, not being a fan of Liverpool and so-called the Brendan Rodgers revolution, which has proven to be, I don't know, kind of overhyped, I guess, in the press, basically because, he brought all these people that could pass the ball, and yet I still see the multitudes of Liverpool players that have been there for the last 7 years or so still hoofing the ball down the field. The only thing that's changed is they actually have a decent goal scorer in Suarez, and up until this week, he was captain of my fantasy team. But I had to. He's scoring. What am I supposed to do? He is scoring. And it's true. I think, almost every team, apart from United, I suppose, are having problems adjusting to playing teams that they're supposed to beat. And when I say supposed to beat, us, losing to Swansea at home or losing to Bradford City, that just goes to show that, I don't know, maybe whoever the first team coach is isn't doing their job and saying, hey, guys, we have 90 minutes of football to play. Let's go out there and play 90 minutes of football. And it just seems that, teams don't have that sort of, it's like they're going through the motions, spring fever type thing, where all of a sudden they're like, oh, we only have 10 games left. Let's just go out there and kick the ball around and have a good run out and, maybe we'll win. And instead of having that killer instinct and putting, 7 and 8 up on the board like, I don't know, like the Chavs did against Villa not too long ago. But I'm happy for the result because that keeps Liverpool down where they belong, out of Europe again, since Everton and West Bromwich Albion continue to play decent football. And that's shameful. That's shameful. I was just read an article today that all the players that Brendan Rodgers brought in, not one of them is playing.
Right.
And that goes to show you that sometimes the old tried and true works better than what you're hoping to instill is a playing system.
I think it's just a case of, it's like with Arsenal, when Arsenal play like the lower league teams who we expect to beat. I think they just get a bit complacent, kind of see it as, oh, that's an easy game, we're definitely going to beat them. And then before they know it, they're not, they're losing to them. And I think it's just that. I think it's just that teams. I mean, I know Liverpool isn't kind of a top 4 team anymore, but Liverpool still is a good team. But I think they kind of just make an assumption that they should have beat Southampton. And I think they just lay back and relax, just like what Arsenal have done many times. And I think that's where the fault lies sometimes. You need to put a strong team out, even if it is, even if it is a lower table team. It doesn't mean that they're not going to beat you. I mean, Bradford and Birmingham, that's like 2 names I can put out the hat for Arsenal. That just proves, just because they're not up there, doesn't mean that they can't beat you. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion on it.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in Louise's camp on this one, Fu. I think it's a real case of, just because, a team's getting beat and sitting low in the table, they're in the Premier. And on any given day, they can show up and whip your ass because they're not in the Premier for no reason. They can play football. They have the staff to play football. Does that mean they're superb? No, but they're still in the Prem for a reason. And I think Arsenal is a good example of underestimating teams and relaxing at the. I mean, let's just take Wigan for example. They seem to stay up year after year when they play like crap the majority of the year, and then all of a sudden they turn on the jetpack. These teams are in the Prem for a reason.
Yeah.
And you say, and I think I kind of go along with what's been said about Liverpool and in the fact that they can come to a game like Southampton and say, okay, that's 3 points. But, realistically, they need to look at every game as a cup final because of their position and their recent history. They have to make sure that they go out and perform and do that. But they've been inconsistent all season long.
Right.
A Fast, described them as a yo-yo team, up 1 week, down the next. If you know that you've had that problem through the early part of the season, you can't approach a game like Southampton. Remember, Southampton drew with Chelsea earlier in the season. So they have something that they can step up and bite somebody in the ass. So you kind of have to be aware of each game you're coming to and perform. They're out of Europe right now and, sinking like a stone and their rivals Everton are doing much better than them. So they need to kind of step it up. But, Liverpool reminds me a lot of what I thought about Tottenham because Spurs at the beginning of the season, okay, they're going to do well, then they're going to drop off is what I thought. Last week I said they've surprised me. They've proved me wrong. And then what did they do this week is lose to Fulham, and so there's just no consistency with these teams that could be stepping up and doing something. Now Tottenham and Chelsea, they're swapped places in the table, and it's down to who's going to be the most consistent for the rest of the season. It's hard to tell right now because a team can look great 1 week, and then the next week they're losing to Southampton and stuff.
Yeah, I was just looking at Southampton at their previous results and stuff. They beat Man City 3-1. So Arsenal drew with them. So Southampton, they are. I mean, and then they lost to QPR, and they've got some really quite. I don't know. Some of their results don't make a lot of sense.
And if you know that, you can't go into a game and say, "Hey, that's 3 points," when you know they've performed like that. So. I agree with you.
Yeah. Moving right along, since I guess this kind of is Arsenal radio with 3 of us on here.
No, it's not. United's going to have its day.
Yeah, maybe.
I just hope it's not April 29th, Trey. I just hope it's not April 29th. I hope it's before then. That's the Emirates.
Okay.
As long as you don't lift the trophy at Emirates, I don't care. I don't care. As long as you don't lift the trophy at Emirates,
it's down to that. Anything can happen, man. Who knows what's going to happen as far as where United are and what the title race is.
It's the 28th, not the 29th. It's the 28th.
It got moved. It got moved because of the FA Cup game.
Oh, has it? Oh, cool. I'm just looking on the BBC website now.
Let's talk about
there's a bunch of us. There's a bunch of people from Atlanta that are going to that match.
Yeah.
I didn't get the invite.
Let's talk
you're not an
about
Arsenal supporter.
Swansea.
Oh God, that's right. That'd have been ugly.
I,
I'm sorry, Hooligan. Go ahead.
I personally wasn't. Of course, I'm glad Arsenal won. We needed the points. Very glad we won. But I wasn't especially impressed with our performance. 3 points is 3 points. A win is a win. I'm all good with that. But that being said, again, I wasn't all that impressed.
Yeah, but it's Swansea and it's away.
Right.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We controlled the ball except for like maybe 10 minutes in the second half. Other than that, we controlled the ball. And the back four, Fabianski didn't have to make a save. Fabianski didn't have to make a save. Now listen to the words in that sentence. Fabianski didn't have to make a save.
Well, I think we're all grateful for that because I think it makes us all nervous, whoever's between the sticks right now for Arsenal. It seems since David Seaman, maybe Jens for a minute, but it seems like since Seaman, we really haven't had a keeper that's worth a shit.
Yeah. I
mean, it is what it is, and sometimes it's hard to attract a keeper and then hold on to him. I get it, but I'm now down to wondering what's going on in training with Arsenal. Swansea came out and played with real confidence. They lost.
I think we did well though. To be honest, I like just looking back on the results. In December they beat us 2-0 at home. And then we had them in the FA Cup third round, and it was a draw. And then third round replay, we beat them 1-0. So I actually think we've done pretty well. Swansea aren't a bad team really. So I think that we did to win them, to win 2-0 away. I think that's a good result for us. I think everyone's got to be positive, especially the fans as well. We really need to be a bit more positive about it, and not because it is a win, and Spurs lost as well. So it was a good weekend for football, I think.
Yeah, I mean, a win is a win. I'm with you. But when I watch out of a coach's eye, when I watch Arsenal, we don't play with the confidence that I would expect them to play with. I think that game could have been 3 or 4-0, and I think it just comes down to we don't have as much confidence as we should have as a team. I mean, that's just my view of it.
I think sometimes you got to grind them out like that, though, and you got to look at the confidence level probably was not high at this point, but you got the 3 points. You saw Spurs lose for one thing, and you're in a much, much better position. Liverpool lost, so that takes a little pressure off you as well. And so the next outing out, I think that's the game you're going to be looking at, your next fixture. You should perform a little bit more. Yeah, you should perform with a little bit more confidence, I think.
Yeah, I mean, next week we have Reading, and I hope we have our game face on. The Spuds have Swansea. I think Swansea will beat them next week. I think Michu will be pissed. I think he gets 2 goals. And
I'd be upset too if I knew I was facing Fabianski and I didn't have a shot on goal.
Yeah.
I'd be real pissed. It's like having me in the goal, for crying out loud. Yeah.
Well,
I'd be mad
I wouldn't
too.
go that far, Bob. I think you can do a better job than Fabianski.
Oh, God.
But I see Michu getting 2, and I see us being within a point of the Spuds.
I certainly hope so.
I don't think anyone is catching United at this point.
No.
I just think that's a done deal. Unless anything's possible, I guess. But unless United completely collapses, I don't think anyone's catching them.
I think you'd have to have food poisoning and all sorts of injuries for that to happen. Now, if it had been before City lost this past week, we're still talking the difference of 4 games.
It's really close, actually, isn't it? Really close in the top 5.
Yeah, but United and City still play together. So you're talking 3.5 games but they lost this past week, and I think that's kind of done it.
Well, United could have like a Ty Hooker scandal.
Anything's possible.
No, more like a Granny Hooker scandal with Rooney in that squad, dude.
Well, there's that too.
Hey,
and
old ladies
another
need love too.
and another RVP bad touch episode. Oh.
Ouch. Let me see how
Okay,
many points we have. Oh, okay.
Well, moving on from that, Villa QPR. I mean, you got two awful teams, and I say
That would be
I
god
say
awful.
Villa is awful, but I think the reality of it is the more I read into about Villa, they're young. I don't think totally they're just, I could be wrong, but then there's QPR who are awful under Redknapp, which kind of surprises me actually. As much as I hate to give Twitchy credit, he's a pretty decent manager, and that QPR side just looks awful.
QPR needs to go down and hold on to
They
Redknapp and let him build from the championship. They'll be fine, but it's a bridge too far for them right now. They're on 23 points. I think with the remaining games they have, I don't think they can scrap their way out of this.
Yeah, right.
It's not going to happen.
More interesting is will Wigan do their little escape business at the end of the season? And I think they will. And so with that in mind, what's going to happen on top of that? Are we talking Aston Villa going down with Reading and QPR? Or, I don't want to say this, Kirk, but the thing that scares me about Sunderland is I know that they drew with Norwich this past week, but they looked awful.
Yeah, they did.
And their next games are in order: Manchester United, Chelsea, Newcastle, Everton.
I was just looking at that. That's some tough games. If they're a bit weak, that's some tough games for them to have to face.
Yeah. This is a bad time of the year for them to face that line of teams. Newcastle's going to be interesting, but it's away. And Kirk and I talked about this earlier, and I was saying, hey, it was a good result. You came up, got a little distance from the relegation zone, but then he reminded me of the games they have coming up. And with the way they're playing, I do worry now about O'Neill and that squad. And a lot's going to depend on what happens with the rest of the teams underneath them. But this is going to be a real strange run for them. So I'll be keeping an eye on that.
Yeah.
If QPR goes down, I'd be willing to give that Moroccan fella a try at Arsenal.
I don't think if QPR go down, people will be willing to leave though because of Redknapp. That's the thing. I think they're going to want to stick with him.
I do think they're going to come
He
right
doesn't
back
deserve
up.
a job.
Yeah, they will come straight back up as well. They'll definitely come straight back up. But I think, go on.
You don't? Fu, you don't?
I don't think he deserves a job.
Who,
Really?
Redknapp?
I'm sorry.
Why?
I don't think he deserves a job.
Because
Well,
he
I
can't
don't
spell?
think-
Or what?
I think the only reason why he has a job in English football is because he's English.
I don't know, man.
And listen, both Pompey and Southampton went down because of him.
Yeah.
West Ham was on the decline when he left. And Tottenham are overachieving yet again with one player.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody deserves to have Harry Red. That's like somebody saying somebody deserves to have Neil Warnock as a manager. The only reason why that man has a job in football is because he's English.
Yeah.
They have not adapted to the times of football, and they have not adapted to manage people with egos. Harry Red, look, we all made jokes last year about Harry Redknapp's team talks. Oh, it's terrific, and talking out the window and all that sort of stuff. But literally, when he says he couldn't spell and sat on that stand last year and admitted he had, I don't know, the equivalent of a fifth form education, that ought to tell you.
Dude was trying to stay out of jail.
Well, I understand all that, but I mean, I don't think Mark Hughes, another one that doesn't deserve to have a job.
Oh,
No,
amen
he
to
definitely
that.
does.
And that's just really, really, I'd rather have Kenny Dalglish as a manager. At least that man's won a trophy in the
At
Premier
least he
League.
has passion. But, with Redknapp, the one question I've always had with him is why he chooses the jobs he does. I thought about that with QPR, but he always chooses a lower tier team. And Spurs
Yeah, so he doesn't have any expectations. No expectations.
Yeah, but what I've seen with him with those teams is they do seem to punch above their weight, and I haven't seen that with QPR. Spurs is another. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Spurs is another one that I think did well with him punching above their weight, because I don't think they're really on their own a top team, just like you said, it's a one-man team. But I don't know. I kind of have to disagree with you. I think Redknapp has more about him than just being English and given a job solely for that. Now, is he a top-tier manager? Maybe not. I don't see him challenging Mourinho and Ferguson and Wenger as far as that. But I think he is a solid manager. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah, Fu, you're outnumbered here.
That's fine.
We
I stick to my opinions.
No, that's cool. I mean, I'm gonna have to say you may be exactly right that he has not adapted properly to the times, but that does not make him in the way of tactics and the way he views the game. That doesn't make him a manager. That makes him maybe old school to where he could do better if he adapted a little bit more, but it doesn't make him a manager. I think he knows what he's doing. But, again, like Dre said, is he a top-tier manager? No. And you have some points there, too. He may simply have a job because he's English at this point. He's failed with a lot of teams that actually had some staff.
I'd like to see him stay at Spurs, though.
I wish he would have stayed at Spurs as well, because I really think it was such a shame that he got kicked out of there. I really do.
I think we could have seen whether or not he had anything about him in another year.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Well, and moving right along, another manager who I absolutely like, which is David Moyes. Everton beat Shitty. I was listening to that game on the radio on the way to my U9, U8 game, and when Pinar got the red, was when I had to turn it off, and I, in my mind, I went, oh, well, they're up 1-0, but that's going to be that. And then I get back in the car, and I check, and they've won. And I go, has the sky opened up and fallen? I was very happy, and just purely from being a fan of football, I really respect Everton's manager.
Yeah,
I think year in and year out, even if they finish mid-table or whatever, I think he absolutely makes the best of what he has every year, and I think his footballers like playing for him.
Yeah.
And that says a lot about a manager when you can tell the footballers like playing for him.
Hey, I think it says a lot about the Everton ownership, too, that they've stuck with him.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And we talked about this last week. Louise had mentioned that, that about Alex Ferguson in Manchester United and how that can make a difference for a club, just having that stability, that manager's position. And I think Moyes has got it now.
Yep.
Maybe he may not have the talent on hand, but I think his results are showing that he's an effective manager, and his ownership seems to put that trust in him. And I gotta respect that.
Fu, what do you think on that?
I think they got bloody lucky. But since we're talking about, I think they got lucky against City. I really did, because I'm gonna be honest with you. Side by side on a sheet of paper, you just sit there and go, and a man up. You just say, well, gosh, all he has to do is, all Mancini has to do is do this and this and this, and then they're going to steamroll this team.
Individually, individually, yeah, I would say that. I mean, at every position, we talked about this too, is too deep, world-class players at every position, but that's not a team.
Right.
Oh, well, they go on individual talent, and so you can have those days. If you're not playing as a team at this level, somebody that huffs and puffs can beat you.
Well, you missed the second half of that statement. Was speaking of managers, I really hope City. I was like, you really missed that second part.
Yeah,
you really
I
missed
did.
That.
I apologize.
I really won't. I mean, he is. I don't know. I mean, look, Mancini is supposedly a football person, and I'm not going to compare him to Sven-Goran Eriksson, but I think you really can. I think if you think about it, they're both almost the exact same type manager. Where did they both come from? They both came from Lazio. Both of them won the Scudetto at Lazio.
Right.
Both of them very, very good teams in the Premier League. Now, granted, Mancini won last year by the skin on Sir Alex Ferguson's chin. But
United threw away the title. But anyway, go ahead.
You know, and literally, you know, so, gosh, I really hope he stays because that team will just implode on its own and just blow up in some sort of massive oil-induced explosion.
I think I'd agree with that.
Again, though, Fu, I think Everton plays as a team. City,
I think they're underrated. I really do.
Well, I mean, I think they do the best with what they have. But I think, you know, City, you got a team full of mercenaries. Everyone is out for their own glory. Yes, they have their days to where they play some fluid football. But, you know, all it takes with the amount of egos on that team, I think all you have is Torre and company that are willing to be squad guys. And all it takes is one of them to have an off day and the rest of the team falls apart. Because no one else on that team is willing to say, okay, I'm the little man. I'm just a guy who plays a role in this 11 men on the field. I'm not the center of attention and the focal point. And I think everyone else on that team, they want to be the man. Therefore, always give me the ball.
Didn't we see this coming, though? I mean, the moment, you know, these oil sheiks got involved with the team and started splashing cash for everything that moved, I mean, didn't we see that coming? I mean, we've seen teams try to do this before, you know, build a Galactico type of team, and it
never works. You can have all the best players in the world, but it doesn't mean that they're going to work well together, does it? It's not.
Yeah.
I hate seeing that. I hate seeing that so much. It's
one component of many at this level that you have to master. And you can't just throw guys out there and expect title. It's just not going to happen. Because one thing, the guys are not going to stay there.
Yeah, because they're not the focal point of attention.
Yeah.
You're not feeding their egos enough. You know, I mean, and a lot of those guys are just, I mean, we saw it in Tevez last year. A lot of them act like spoiled brats. Tevez just wanted attention. He didn't care if he got positive attention or negative attention. He just wanted attention. So what does he do? He goes and takes a golf holiday in Argentina.
And we found out he was a pretty good golfer, too.
Yeah. So.
Has a great travel agent as well.
Absolutely. Let's move on to FA Cup. We got City versus Chelsea or United, and Wigan versus Millwall or Blackburn. Personally, I'd like to see Millwall go all the way simply for the riot potential.
I knew you were going to say that.
And for no other reason. I would like to see them pour out of the den and just wreck, honestly.
You know, they're going to bring out the SAS for security.
Yeah, it will be mad. It really will be mad. Millwall fans are pretty hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be humorous to me. What do y'all think of this?
I don't think they get past Wigan. If they get past Blackburn, I don't think they get past Wigan.
Yeah, I mean that's given. I'm just saying, you know, in my little dream world, just for the drama and riot potential.
Well,
I'd like to see
weren't they in the FA Cup final 4 years ago or 5 years ago? 2008, they played Manchester United.
Yeah, they lost 4-0. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, you are right.
That was one of Ronaldo's early cup games with them. You know, I think that if you're talking about a hooligan type of versus that, I think Millwall against Chelsea would be a very interesting in the street kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
I want Chelsea to play purely because it means they're going to be playing more games, given, you know, hopefully, I mean, I'd like to think it will make their team a bit more tired. because we're as an Arsenal fan, like we're kind of catching up with them. So
Yeah.
I mean, Man United, they're way ahead. City probably not going to catch up with, but Chelsea, it'd be kind of nice for them to have a bit more on their plate other than just the Premiership. So
And I bet you Wenger is thinking the same thing there.
yeah, that's the thing. Like now, as Arsenal, we've solely got one thing to concentrate on, so it's kind of good and kind of not.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think United's going to get it right in the replay. So I think we're going to see a Manchester derby in the semifinal, and United, I think, are in a good position to get it. The only thing that they have to worry about is their focus and the amount of games that they're playing.
Yeah.
You know, that's their deal. But if they can stay focused, I think they can get. I think they're in line for a double.
Well, United have a deep enough bench.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, nothing's for certain, but I don't think either, regardless of Millwall or Wigan. You know, I say this, and then there's always these upsets that happen, but I don't think either one of them has a prayer against any of the three on the other side of the, of the bracket. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, again, me being me, just for the riot potential. Just for the, the
YouTube videos and stuff.
yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I wouldn't mind seeing Millwall go to another cup final because you know who owns them, don't you? An American.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah.
that would be rather interesting.
I'm
In
not.
fact, that would be interesting to see United play Millwall again because of these two American owners.
Yeah, I'm not all about that nationalistic kind of stuff, though. If United do not make it to the final, I would love to see Wigan snatch it just because I like Martinez.
And they'll be in second division playing in Europe.
Yeah, how about it? When's the last
You
time?
know?
Was Sunderland the last second division team to win the FA Cup
I don't
back
know.
in '73? Can you think of anybody else from the second division that's won it since then?
1973.
73. Yeah, they beat Leeds. I need to look back
Googling
at
that right now.
because I guess they would have gone to the Cup Winners' Cup at that time. Yeah. Anyway, keep going. I'll find it.
So I mean, there's that, and we've already discussed it a little bit, guys. But down at the bottom, we got Wigan, Reading, QPR. We know QPR is going down, but they're level on points with Reading. I think it's probably pretty much a done deal. Reading's going down too. But then we got, Wigan, Villa, Southampton, Sunderland, and possibly West Ham. But West Ham would have to totally implode.
Yeah, West Ham will be safe. Like I say, I worry about Sunderland because Southampton looks strong.
Yeah, and Newcastle's level on points with West Ham, so I think they would have to completely implode too. But Pardue is their manager.
Yeah,
So,
it is Newcastle.
They could switch to playing basketball instead of football. That guy.
They might get promoted to the NBA.
Yeah.
There you go. If they have promotion and relegation.
The first NBA franchise in UK.
There you go.
Yeah. But Villa, Southampton, Sunderland, I think are all, and Wigan. I think it's a toss-up between the four of them of the third spot of who's going down. Who do you like to go down out of those four?
Well, Reading will probably go down.
Yeah, I think QPR and Reading are a given.
Won't be saved. QPR won't be saved. It'll be a dogfight for the third spot, almost like last year.
And you know what? I think the relegation race is, because the title seems wrapped up, the relegation race has become the main focal point for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an amazing competition and battle that's going to happen now. If I had to choose, like you guys said, QPR, Reading, I think are doomed. I think Wigan will survive. I think they're going to get out of it, and I think Villa are going to go down. Sunderland's going to find a way.
Yeah, I mean, for me, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then the relegation battle are the most interesting things going for me.
Yeah, that battle for Europe is going to be interesting too.
Because I mean, there's Everton that's right there, Liverpool, don't know. I mean, hell, even West Brom, they're not too terribly far behind. And then, Chelsea and the Spuds, they're almost even on points, and Arsenal's nipping at their heels.
Yeah, for me, it's just finishing above Spurs. That's my main concern this season.
Yeah.
I don't want to face a season where that doesn't happen, because it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, they will get mouthy, won't they?
Yeah, and it's more. Yeah, it'll be pretty much hell.
Yeah, but just think of all the tattoos we get to make fun of next year.
Oh yeah, did you see that? Did you see that tattoo? Oh, that guy.
I did.
He actually, what's laughable is that he actually thinks it's good. He actually does, and it's like, even whether it's Spurs or not, it's rubbish. And he was like, oh yeah, it costs more than like you make in a year. I'm like, really? If you paid that much for a tattoo, you need serious help.
What have I missed?
You need to look on Louise's Twitter.
I'll tweet it to you now. I'll tweet it to you now because it's absolutely awful. I think I've still got it here.
I mean, me and Louise being the two most tattooed people here, I need to see this.
It is rather humorous. I have to admit that right now. God, it was awful.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was arguing for it and making fun of people and all that other thing. So I was like, gosh.
Who is this kid?
Oh, he's just
he's called Big.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So.
Should we all be embarrassed for him now?
Honestly, look, I'm just gonna tweet it to you now. It's absolutely horrendous. He's so mouthy.
Oh my God.
See? Exactly.
Oh my God.
Oh wow, that's special.
That looks like my 6-year-old scribbled it with a tattoo machine.
It's so bad.
It's horrid.
Yeah.
Good grief.
I can't even believe that. Oh my God.
Disbelief.
Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty bad.
Oh my Lord.
You've got to stop that.
I literally am amazed.
That's so funny. You're speechless. I love it. So I think when you have a football tattoo, it's really easy for it to be chavvy and look like a Manchester United crest. That's chavvy. There's certain things that you can't, like that's why I didn't have the Arsenal crest, because it's a bit chavvy. But the cannon, you can kind of get away with that. What he's done is just awful, just pure awful. It doesn't get any worse.
Moving right along, we got way too sidetracked with that.
Hey, you'll like this. I did a little research just while we were talking about tattoos, and the last club, it wasn't Sunderland, but you'll find this interesting. 1980, West Ham became the last side to date to win the competition from outside the top division. Guess who they beat in the final?
Arsenal 1-0.
Arsenal.
Yep. Just thought I'd just share that with everybody. Okay, proceed.
The shortest man on the pitch scored. The shortest man on the pitch scored the goal.
Yeah.
The shortest man on the pitch scored the goal. Trevor Brooking. Yeah. With a header. And that was also the year that God, what's his name, had the most horrible challenge on that 16-year-old kid from West Ham Academy that came on in the 88th minute and he had a breakaway. I can't remember who tackled him.
Oh God,
it was a bad one too. It was a bad one too. But all the commentators were just like, I can't believe he just killed that little kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they all went, wow, absolutely, just like Arsenal. Be losing a cup final and then just kill a little kid on the pitch. That's just like Arsenal. Which is,
Last topic of the night. And I think we're all pretty much on the same page with this. I think already at this point, United had the title wrapped up.
Yeah.
I don't really see again, unless they have a a Thai hooker scandal, or Rooney starts importing Greek grandmothers for his pleasure.
That'll help this game. But anyway.
I don't see United not taking the title this year, and they may do the double even.
Oh yeah, Paul Allen tackled, or Willie Young tackled Paul Allen. That's who it was.
Okay, now I got YouTube. But anyway, I'll do that later.
Sorry.
And honestly, I think we could see City drop into third.
I do too. I made that point with Kurt and a couple other people on Twitter the other day.
Yeah, I can see City losing their number 2 spot.
Yeah, they're definitely not. They're definitely not being as well. They're just going down really. I don't know. They're not gonna. I think they could go down to thirds. I really don't think that they're going to carry on. There's definitely not a title race between them and Man United. Without doubt. I'd put money on that.
And more to that with City, I don't think Mancini has a job there next year.
No, I agree.
Oh no, yeah, I think he's gone.
Yeah, I think the locker room knows that as well.
Yeah,
and I think everyone's just waiting it out till the word comes down. And that's again when the locker room knows the manager isn't staying, they stop playing. It means less to them. They don't have anyone to please.
Yeah,
I want Mancini to stay. Please stay. I don't have anything to bone to any contention with Manchester City, but please stay just so they can yell at somebody else besides Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, that's
please,
true too.
And please, Harry, stay at QPR. So when you go to the championship, nobody will ever talk about you. Ever.
What did he do to you, by the way?
Yeah. He's just freaking boring. Him and his dog.
He's
talking
twitchy.
about you. Well, yeah, he is twitchy.
Yeah, well, that is what it is. Well, guys, good podcast, and that about wraps it up for the week. Thank you all for joining us. Thank everybody for listening, and done.